Happy Sunday, love bugs. It has been a hot ass minute, but I am finally back with another book and breakfast. I'm sorry I've been gone for a minute. I started off last month with a crap ton of content to give you guys, and due to audio issues, I lost all of it except for a video and a half. And I got really depressed about it. So I've been hunkering down and I've been doing a lot of creating so I can actually post new content for you guys. And I'm really excited to share all of these books and new recipes with you. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Today we're going to be doing some strawberry lemonade muffins. This is a recipe I got from my mama and it is amazing. First things first, I am just making some self-rising flour because this recipe does call for self-rising flour, and I forgot to buy a self-rising flour. And it is basically just for every 1 cup of all-purpose flour, you're going to add a teaspoon and a half of baking powder, mix that all up, and then I just added a little bit of salt to that at the end. So I'm just making my self-rising flour and getting it ready and all stirred up to go into my recipe. So we have to prep our strawberries. This is probably the only thing that takes the longest. We're just going to chop up some strawberries, and then I'm also going to go ahead and zest some lemons and get some of that juice out of there. Now, while we're doing that, let's go ahead and talk about my 5-star reads. These are my 5-star reads from last month and the month prior. First things first, I have to talk about The Devil I Know by Deveau. I was lucky enough to be part of the art team for this book, and it was phenomenal. This is book 2 in the Underworld University series. You guys know I have talked about this quite a bit. It has been one of my favorite dark fantasy romance why choose books, and book 2 in this series has lived up to all the hype and has me all in my feels. It picks up exactly where we left off with the deal with the devil, and it is a page turner, literally front to back. There is so much action, and what I appreciate about this book the most is that the plot continuously moves forward, but we get so much more with each of these characters. In a Why Choose, my biggest thing is that it's not just found family, but we also get all of these different perspectives and we get to understand each character's motivations. And I fell in love with every single one even more. And on top of getting to know the gang a little bit more, we also have new players. We have Angel stepping into the mix, and we also have Lucifer making more of his motivations known. If you loved The Deal with the Devil, you are going to be obsessed with The Devil I Know. And it does end on a cliffhanger, so just be aware you're probably going to have a heart attack at the end. And then once I'm finished with the strawberries, I'm going to go ahead and zest up some lemons. I used about the zest of 3 lemons, and then I went ahead and juiced 1.5 lemons to add into the recipe. I actually didn't have a ton of 5-star reads over the last 2 months. A lot of them came close, but not quite. One of my favorite reads recently has been from Alexandria House, and that is Let Me Love You, and that is book 1 in the McClain Brothers series. Listen, let me tell y'all, I am a big South lover through and through, okay? This is a really cute, quick romance between an aspiring jeweler and a very well-known, high-profile rapper. Before we get into the rest of the story, though, let me tell you what we're about to add into this mixture for the muffins. Once you have all of your items prepped, we're going to go ahead and mix up our dry ingredients. I'm just adding my sugar into the prepared flour that we already have. And then you're going to go ahead and mix that up, and you're going to make a well in the center and set that to the side. Once you have that done, you're going to go ahead and you're going to mix up your wet ingredients. We have some sour cream. You're going to throw in that lemon juice that we have reserved. And you're also going to throw in 2 eggs that have been whisked and some melted butter along with your lemon zest. And you're going to mix all of that up and add that into the dry mixture, and you're just going to fold that in gently until you have a really nice wet sticky batter. And I ended up adding a little bit more sour cream later on because the batter was a little bit dry. And then you're just going to mix it up, throw your strawberries in, and fold all of that in. And once all of that is folded in, then you're going to go ahead and add that to your prepared muffin tins. Really quick and easy recipe. Literally the longest thing in this recipe is just chopping up the strawberries. All right, so back to the love of my life, Big South, Everett McLean. I absolutely loved this book. We have a single mom who is just trying to figure out her life, and she is the ex of another well known rapper. She meets Everett on a chance encounter when she is trying to run some errands for her boss, and he completely turns her off. She goes off on him, calls him out, and he is just sitting there like, is this what love is? And Everett is just everything I ever wanted in a male main character. He is so absolutely devoted to Jo. He just wants to give her the best life, and he wants to give her basically the most epic love possible. And it was just everything. I really fell down the rabbit hole with Alexandria House's books in the previous month. And so this was the book that led me down that rabbit hole. It is everything. I mean, it's Black love, single mom trope. We have an amazing rapper who actually has a true, genuine heart of gold. And it's Black AF. It's Black AF. And I just loved it. So if you're looking for a really good, fun romance, highly suggest it. I also gobbled up the Them Boys novellas by Alexandria House, and my favorite one out of all of them was Set. All three of these brothers are named after gods, and Set is the first and oldest brother within this trio. And this is a chance encounter at a high school reunion with a young woman who crosses the path of one of the guys that was basically well known for beating up everybody and just being a bad boy. They get together, they start hooking up, and their situationship turns into a relationship. And I loved every second of it. It was really short, really sweet, and like, y'all, filthy as hell. Just straight, pure, unadulterated smut. It was so good. So if you need something a little bit quicker than Let Me Love You, I highly suggest Set. And then I'm just making the rest of my breakfast. I decided to cook off some bacon and some eggs because, I don't live alone. And we all needed to eat. So we're going to do that too while we finish talking about the rest of these books. You guys know I have been doing a lot of prepping for this Kennedy Ryan spotlight, and even though I lost the footage, I am still going to be doing that author spotlight. I don't care what it takes. And I did finish Hookshot by Kennedy Ryan. This is the last book in the Hoops trilogy. And this is Lotus and Keenan's story. I have been obsessed with Lotus and Keenan since reading Longshot. And this is another one of those chance encounter situations. You have your basketball player who has been obsessed with Lotus for years and has been trying to gather her attention, and she has not been giving him the time of day until he ends up getting a brand deal with the fashion company that she is currently working for. And they get into a situationship, which later on turns into one of the most kind, gentle, nurturing love stories that you will ever encounter. Keenan does not get enough hype. I think he is like a weighted blanket in main character form. And there's our new baby Hank. If you haven't seen him, we love him. He's cute and he likes to sit and stalk me while I cook. Keenan is just a fabulous male character. He is so patient and kind and loving and devoted to Lotus, who is so deeply trying to work through all of her baggage and trying to move on so that she can also learn to have a prosperous and healthy love life. I absolutely love this book. Everything Kennedy Ryan does is just fabulous. And then last but not least, I finally got into the Brown Sisters trilogy, and I started with Get a Life, Chloe Brown. It was so good. This is about a young woman who is living with fibromyalgia, and she has her own Get a Life list. And she ends up enlisting the help of her landlord to help finish her Get a Life list, and they end up falling for each other. This has amazing chronic illness and disability rep, and I just found the love between these two characters to just be so touching. Another very kind, gentle, and devoted male main character. We love to see it, especially for our plus size FMCs. So yeah, that is it for this breakfast. The strawberry muffins are everything, super light, fluffy, and moist, and everything else was bomb too. I'll have the recipe down in the description below. Now let's go ahead and get into this month's TBR. That is it for today's food portion. Y'all gotta try this recipe out. It's so good, especially while strawberries are still out and yummy and fresh, especially if you can get you some from the farmer's market, baby. So good, especially with some fresh strawberry jam. Amazing. I will have the full recipe down below. It's super duper simple and really quick. So let's go ahead and get into some books. I have a few books that I'm currently reading right now, and then I have several books on the TBR to talk to you guys about. And then in the author spotlight, at the end of the author spotlight, I will be doing a library haul for you guys. So that's how we're gonna be doing things. Also, isn't this the cutest mug ever? It's a Lilo and Stitch mug, and it says, you see my lipstick. It says Ohana, and then it says means family, nobody gets left behind or forgotten. It's so cute. And it has a little family and a heart inside. I found this while I was out of town this weekend, and I had to buy it because y'all know me and cute mugs. First up, I am doing a buddy read with my good friend Yasmin over on TikTok. If you don't follow me on TikTok, all of my short form bookish content has been going towards TikTok. I'm really enjoying the community. I've really been focusing on like cultivating an audience there, and it's taken up a lot of my time from my other platforms, if I'm being honest, but it's been paying off. So I have several friends over on the Clock app that I like to buddy read with, and me and my friend Yasmin have been buddy reading the 5th season. I think we had to put it on pause because she also had hers checked out from the library and she had to return it. So we are 50% through the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. This is a dystopian sci-fi fantasy. Very good. It took a minute for us to get into this because the language was so different from what we had already been reading. I mean, y'all, I literally had just finished reading a book about Goldilocks getting railed by the 3 bears. And then, like, I went to this. And the language is so different. It is written in second person point of view. I haven't read anything in second person POV since, like, my upper level undergrad lit courses. So it took a minute for me to get used to that POV again, but once I did, I was enthralled. It goes between 3 different POVs, but I do actually have a theory about who those POVs actually are. And we are introduced to Asun, who is essentially you are reading from the very eyes of Asun. When we're introduced to her, there is a seismic event that happens within her town, and we find out that she is the person that causes this event after her husband kills her child. There are so many different pieces and moving parts to this. There's certain things I don't want to elaborate on because I feel like I might spoil the overall plot for you guys. Mind you, I'm only 50% through, and I feel like there's a lot that can be spoiled. Me and Yasmin have really been enjoying just putting together all of our theories about what is going on, who everybody is, how all of this relates, because as this is set, like with the POVs, it's basically like present, past, and future if you really pay attention to how the POVs are written. So I am loving this. N.K. Jemisin's writing is stunning. Like, it is beautiful. So I am hyped to get through this, and I think we have already decided that we are going to continue to buddy read the rest of the series. So I'm pretty sure they have book 2 and book 3 at my library. So the next time I go, I'll probably go ahead and pick those up. But the fifth season by N.K. Jemisin, if you're looking for something like very much high fantasy, this is it. Actually, all of my current reads are from the library. I'm trying to turn some stuff in. The next one is a good old romance. Zora books her Happy Ever After by Taj McCoy. I think I shared this in a library haul, and I had checked this out on Libby. when it first dropped, and I just had no motivation to listen to audiobooks at the time. So when I saw it in my library, I went ahead and picked it up. I started reading this last night, and so far I'm enjoying it. This is about a young Black woman in her 30s who was a bookseller, and she books her favorite author, who she has had a crush on for quite some time, to come in and do an event at her bookstore. And this ends up being a bit of a love triangle between her, the author, and the author's assistant. So far I'm really enjoying it. You guys know I read Savvy Sheldon Feels Good as Hell earlier in the year, and it was not my favorite. I think there was just too much fat phobia, too much internalized fat phobia. And I also read that on audio, and as much as I love Adenrele Ojo, that book was not made for her. it just, the narration was not good. So far I'm loving this leaps and bounds over Savvy Sheldon Feels Good as Hell. And I'm also enjoying that we are getting a plus size FMC still. And I believe she's like 35. So it's nice to get a little bit of romance with a middle-aged female character as well. And then I kept picking this up and putting it down and picking it up and putting it down. Listen, I've had this thing about not wanting to finish series. And I'm trying to like get on it, because I'm like, girl, you can't keep playing with yourself. This is The Blood Gift by Annie Davenport. This is book 2 in the Blood Gift duology. And I am close to, I'm going to finish this tonight. I will finish this tonight. This is book 2 in the Blood Gift duology. You guys know I read The Blood Trials last year. Absolutely loved it. It was one of my 5-star reads for 2022. The Blood Gift follows our main character, Akenna. After the death of her grandfather, she is tipped off that his death actually may have been an inside job. And so she decides to get her shit together and go through the blood trials, which is a very gory and gruesome set of trials in order to gain entry into their world's tactical forces and figure out who it was that was responsible for the death of her grandfather. But there are so many different things going on in this book. There is death, there is blood, there is a little bit of romance, a little bit of spice, and a lot of betrayal. So good. Book 2 was also really, really good, but I will say this, you can tell that this is supposed to be a trilogy. As good as this is, the action is amazing. I love Annie Davenport's writing, but you can tell that everything just wraps up a little too cleanly for how much is going on in this story. And that is no fault of Nia's. This was supposed to be a trilogy, and her publisher made it a duology. And so we kind of get what we get, but I kind of feel like I want some justice for my girl, because you can just tell that this was supposed to be more than 2 books. And you can tell that she was kind of forced to wrap everything up cleanly so that this would have an ending. So far, I am absolutely loving the story, but it is just a little bit of a notch down from the blood trials, because you can very clearly see how detailed book 1 was in comparison to book 2. And I really wish we got to explore a little bit more of the relationships between Akenna and her cadre and Reed. We get good character development, but if this had been 3 books, we could have gotten so much more. So The Blood Gift by Annie Davenport, so far I'm absolutely loving it. And she will be finished by this evening, and you guys will know my final thoughts in the next book in breakfast. And then I am starting this because I have to return it when it is due, because this is a highly sought after book. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This is like romantic-y kind of situation. We have dragon riders and stuff like that. So many of my friends have been just going crazy about this book, and everyone has been like, Bree, we need you to read this so we can kiki about it. Like all my clock app friends have been waiting on me, and I couldn't find it anywhere. It was sold out on Amazon. It was sold out in the stores. And then I walked into the library and it was sitting right there. So I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and pick it up. I haven't started it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and start this tonight as soon as I finish The Blood Gift. But I'm excited to get into this. It's received a lot of hype. It has also received a lot of criticism. Of course, with lots of hype comes lots of criticism. So we'll see how it goes. All right, let's go ahead and get into my TBR for this month. First things first, I got to shout out Revive Me Part 3. I don't have it over here with me because I have it in another stack of books because I'm going to film a book haul right after this. But I read Revive Me Parts 1 and 2 this past month, and they wrecked me. So I am ready for Mallory and Chris's happy ending. JL Seegars stabbed me in the heart several times. So I'm ready to get some repayment. So I do have Revive Me Part 3 that is going to get read this month. Probably as soon as I finish the books that I currently have sitting in front of me, I'm going to go ahead and open up Revive Me because I need to know how it ends. I don't know which one of my children is fussing, but I'm going to need them to chill. I have a couple that I'm going to be working on because I'm trying to catch up to my girls over in the Booksterhood on Instagram. If you don't follow Mama Book Talk over on Instagram, I'm trying to catch up with my Booksterhood over on TikTok. If you don't follow Mama Book Talk over on TikTok, you need to. She is just the sweetest human being ever. And I spend a lot of my time doing reading sprints with her and my girl Lo from Well Read Nurse over there. They are just some of the best people ever. So if you're looking for a good community on Book Talk, like you're trying to find your people, go holla at them and tell them that I sent you because they are amazing human beings. She is doing a kind of like reading sprint challenge where she reads, I want to say 40 books for the month because this is her birthday month. And they started off with King of Wrath and then went straight into King of Pride. I have read King of Wrath, so I kikied with them about it, but I haven't gotten to King of Pride yet. And so I'm going to go ahead and work on this because they were hyping up my baby Kai. And I am so excited. I loved Kai in the first book. This is Kai and Isabella's story. And Kai and Isabella are the best friends of Dante and Vivian, respectively. So we met both of them in book 1. And you could already see that budding chemistry between them. I'm really excited to get into this because Anna Wong even said that Kai just kind of naturally ended up being one of the softest male main characters that she's written. Now, she was like, don't get me wrong. He can go with the best of them. If you nut, he'll buck. But he is like a big softie at heart, and I love that. So this is another like billionaire romance series. This is loosely connected to the Twisted series by Anna Wong. So there are a lot of references to those characters in these books because they are all set within the same world. So if you want to make sure that you're caught up and in the know with those, I would suggest reading the Twisted series before you get to this one, but you don't have to. This is so good. I am so far loving the Kings of Sin series. This is book 2. I think book 3, King of Greed, comes out, I want to say in October. And I signed up. I'm hoping that I might get an art copy. I'm crossing my fingers. I don't think that I will. I'm not that well known yet, but I'm excited to get into this and see what Kai and Isabella got going down. And then I picked this up during the trans rights readathon, and then I ended up not sticking to any of the things that were going on during that month. I think I got through like 3 books for the readathon. 3 books is better than no books, okay? This is Drag Me Up by R.M. Virtues, and this is a Gods of Hunger novel. And this is supposed to be a dark Hades and Persephone retelling, and we have a trans Persephone. Let's read the back. They say he's a myth, and Hades prefers it that way. He made you all the work, and Zeus may get all the credit, but at least it allows Hades to preserve the one thing he truly cares to have, his solitude. The mere mention of the Wraith of Chaos Falls is enough to keep order, and he is rarely forced to leave the shadows of Casino Asphodel. She belongs in the spotlight, and Persephone clawed her way out of Demeter's shadow to reach it. Now she is led into Calliope's Cirque production, but not without great cost, and there is not enough money in the world to pay off the debt accrued for the simple mistake of trusting Zeus, though it's easier to ignore the bars when she still has room to fly. Landing a residency at the legendary Casino Asphodel is everything she trained for. Meeting a man she'd been convinced didn't exist, She could never be prepared for that. Hades isn't prepared for her either, but it's soon evident they're a forced one together. He gives her a soft place to land, and she makes him want to reach for the stars. But when Zeus ups the stakes, they must be willing to go all in, even if it means coming down from the sky or stepping into the light. I'm really excited about this. This has like Dark Olympus by Katie Robert vibes, but even darker. And I've heard amazing things about R.M. Virtues. There are several books by R.M. Virtues, who I also believe is a POC author, if I remember correctly. Heard amazing things about R.M. Virtues. Can't wait to get into this. I feel like this is going to be a quick read. And y'all know I eat up Hades and Persephone retellings. Give me a Hades and Persephone retelling and I will gobble it. Eat it up. So I'm excited to get into this one. Hopefully I will be able to get through this month. We shall see. It looks like I have a new job coming up at the end of the month. I'll talk to y'all about that later. So I may not have as much reading time as I usually do. We'll see what happens. I also need to finish reading The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. I had started this around the time that Mom had finished her chemo treatments. Not her chemo, around the time Mom finished her radiation treatments. And if you guys remember, Mom finished her radiation and then it was like all of our pets were trying to die at the same time. Bella did pass away. Copper got dangerously close. And reading something that was horror and blood and gore was not it for me. I just switched straight to fluffy comfort reads. So I need to get back into this. I'm about 25% of the way through it. This is really, really good. Incredibly interesting. It's like a Carrie retelling. And it is centered around a young Black woman who has been passing in a small town in Georgia, where segregation is still very much prominent in the area. After some of the bullying that she has received is publicized to the greater United States, they decide to have their first integrated prom, and that is where the events of this take place. This is really interesting too because the way it's written, we're going between documents of the massacre and then a podcast that is doing a show on the massacre, and then through the actual like regular events through the characters' lenses. So it's really interesting, and I think probably one that will also be really amazing on audiobook as well. But so far, I love it. This is Blood Like Fate by Liselle Samberry. And I'm excited to get into this. Blood Like Magic was a lot. Blood Like Magic follows the story of our main character, Voya Thomas. And when she comes into her calling, she is given the impossible task of destroying the person that she loves most. Through an intricate database, she is paired with like her perfect match. And she has to essentially figure out how she is going to destroy this person who has become the love of her life. If she does not, then her entire family will lose all of their ability to practice magic and they will no longer be witches. So this is going to be following all of the events that happen after Blood Like Magic. I am excited and scared because the things that Voya went through in book one, like it kind of makes you feel like Liselle Samberry must hate her main character, because I was like, can she get a break? But it was so good, and I appreciated that while this is a YA, obviously, that she was allowed to act like a kid. She was allowed to act like a 16-year-old kid. And it was also nice to have a young adult fantasy where the family was actually around. They may have not been your favorite people, but they were around. It wasn't just a bunch of kids running off acting like grown folk. And I love that about this. So this is book 2. My mom actually got this for me for my birthday last year, and I'm ready to get into it. So we will see if I make it through. I have a lot of fantasy that I want to try to read this month, so we'll see if I get to her. Then y'all know I have to have some type of romance in here. I can't do it without the romance. This is Anna Maria and the Fox by Liana de la Rosa. And this is the first book in a Luna Sisters in the Luna Sisters series. So I got this via Book of the Month. I've had my Book of the Month paused for a couple of months because I haven't been reading my Book of the Month books. Like I always end up picking something else that's like indie. I need to read my Book of the Month books, but I still have the membership. I just have it paused for a little bit. This is a historical romance. Let's see. Ana Maria Luna Valdez has strived to be the perfect daughter, the perfect niece, and the perfect representative of the powerful Luna family. So when she is secretly sent to London with her sisters to seek refuge from the French occupation of Mexico, Ana Maria experiences her first taste of freedom far from the judgmental eyes of her domineering father. If only she could ignore the piercing look she receives across ballroom floors from the austere Mr. Fox. Gideon Fox elevated himself from the London gutters by chasing his burning desire for more opportunities, more choices for everyone. Now, as a member of Parliament, Gideon is on the cusp of securing the votes he needs to put forth a measure to abolish the Atlantic slave trade once and for all, a cause that is close to his heart as the grandson of a formerly enslaved woman. The charmingly vexing Ana Maria is a distraction he must ignore. When Ana Maria finds herself in the crosshairs of a nefarious nobleman with his own political agenda, Gideon knows he must offer his hand as protection. Will this Mexican heiress win his heart as well? I have really been enjoying historical romances, y'all. I read, what is it called? A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera last month, and it was so good. Y'all, the schmecks was schmecksing, okay? They was putting it down in that, okay? So I'm excited to get into this. I have heard so many great things about this book. It's part of the reason why I chose it as my Book of the Month pick. So we're going to see how this goes. So I know I'm going to need a little bit of a romantic palate cleanser. Then this is another one that's supposed to be more of like the lighthearted kind of thing. This is Witchful Thinking by Celestine Martin. I wanted to go ahead and read this because I think book 2 in this series is going to be coming out soon, if it's not out already. And this is supposed to be more of like magical realism. We have Black characters, and this just looks so super duper freaking cute. I had to buy it when I saw it. So I'm really excited to get into this. I've heard that this is good, and it does have a little bit of spice in it as well. So as adorable as this is, I need to go ahead and read it. I picked this up last fall. If I had actually posted that vlog, y'all would know that. But like I said, I've been kind of bad at being an influencer. I'm sorry. Then I have 4 more young adult books that I need to work on. These have been on the shelf for a minute, and I need to read them. First things first, Gods and Monsters by Shelby Mahurin. This is the last book in the Serpent and Dove trilogy. And I have refrained from reading this because book 2 made me so mad that I was like, you know what? I can't do this right now. This story centers around our witch, Lou. When we are introduced to her in book 1, she is undercover and on the run from her mother, who was trying to sacrifice her. She ends up in a very strange predicament with one of the enforcers of the state, who is Reed, and they end up being forced into a marriage that neither one of them wants. But their connection ends up going far deeper than what they plan. Sorry, I had to go fuss at the puppy. I don't know where I was with talking about that, but I really enjoyed the first book. Book 2 was a struggle, and I did not like the way it ended. I felt like the things that happened at the end of book 2 were unnecessary. So I need to just go ahead and bite the bullet and finish it. Just so I can say that I finished it. And is it going to be a little bit of a hate read? Yes, because I'm mad. But I hope that this at least is a good conclusion to the series. I also need to start this series because I ordered all 3 books once the last one came out, and I've yet to open them. This is A Caught a Wish by Nnedi Okorafor, and I've heard amazing things about this series as well. We got Black women, we got West African folklore, and we have witches, and that's right up my alley. The second book in the Skin of the Sea duology, this is Soul of the Deep by Natasha Bowen. This is Black mermaids. This is the Mami Wata, okay? I thoroughly enjoyed book 1. I know some people say that they found like book 1 boring. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm curious to see where this is going to go because I did not see the end of book 1 coming. So I'm like, okay, where do we go from here? And I think that's what's kept me from picking this up. So if you are really interested in anything having to do with Black mermaids, you're interested in West African folklore again, I highly suggest this. I really enjoyed book 1, like I said, and I feel like book 2 is going to stress me out. But also, can we talk about how beautiful that cover is? How stunning. The cover of the first one is absolutely gorgeous as well. So last but not least, I feel like I'm going to get through this one in no time because I sped through the first 2. The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the last book in the Inheritance games. I had this on pre-order and got this when it came out, and I have yet to open it up. A lot of people said that they were kind of disappointed with the last book, and I think it kind of made my excitement for it dissipate. But I need to read it. I bought it and I need to read it. I really enjoyed the first 2. So it'll be interesting to see how I like this. If you're wondering what this book is like, think about Knives Out, but make it kids. That's basically what this is. So I am really curious about this. And I think there is supposed to be another book coming out. It's not within like this series itself, but it is the Hawthorne legacy. So I think it follows the Hawthorne brothers that you meet in this book. So I'm curious to see how that goes. So I gotta finish the Final Gambit before I can get into that. And I think the Hawthorne legacy comes out this month. Okay guys, that is it for Book and Breakfast. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm sorry for just being really out of it and all over the place. And it's probably going to continue like that because I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing with this job life. I'll be taking a new job, and so I'll be working out of the house part-time again. And then eventually I will be working out of the house full-time because I'm just tired of working. I'm tired of working from home. I know a lot of people don't feel that way, but I am. I need to get out of this house. So things are probably going to still be sporadic on the channel until I have a really solid idea of what I'm doing. As long as my life is a little bit messy, I think things on the channel are going to be a little bit messy. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Y'all know Book and Breakfast is some of my favorite content to film. And of course, if there are other bookish related things that you guys want me to film, leave them in the comments down below because I will get to them. I promise. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you've been reading and what books you plan on getting to down in the comments down below. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.